Hey guys, glad to have you watching. In this week's video there will be 3 sections for you to watch. At first, my beautiful Tetraponera Rufonigra colony. The second part will be about making their do-it-yourself setup. And in the last part of this video, I will be showing you some additional 4K macro footage of the colony. I hope you enjoy. This single queen colony is still very small and had a lot of problems to begin with. They were housed in a dirty wooden nest and the queen wouldn't produce any new eggs. I experimented a lot with temperature and moisture, but I figured starting from scratch with a new setup wasn't such a bad idea. Besides a regular test tube, the ants received a nest which they can expand for themselves. And most importantly, it's hidden, so they'll be completely in the dark. I made a tube which goes straight down into their nest chambers. Only a small portion of the nest is open, and they will have to chew their way through the cork to create more nesting space. As soon as I cause vibrations in the ant room, the ants will start peeking above ground and go straight back down after. They seem to be doing really well in their new setup. It's been more than 2 weeks now, but there's finally some brood. I'm sorry for the sketchy footage, but I'm not going to disturb them too much to get a decent shot of their brood. I'm glad the queen is finally laying again, and I do not want to take that risk. Let's give these ladies some sugar. Most of the times, the ants receive Sunburst and nectar. This is what we'll be using today as well. As I'm about to show you guys, their physogastrism is really nice. The ants swell up really good, and they do this really rapid as well. You can see the fluids from the outside as soon as they're done with drinking. And usually they head straight back to the nest to inform the others. And if I play one of these clips in regular speed while zoomed in, you can clearly see that the ant is working really hard to get the fluids inside. They're not very picky when it comes to sugar. They consume honey, sugar water or jelly, but their absolute favorite is Sunburst. It's a different story with their proteins. When it comes to feeding insects, they can be really picky. The ants don't eat pre-killed insects, so most of the times I will give them a cut up worm and crush the head so it barely moves. And even then it takes a while before the ants start feasting. First they walk just by a couple of times, walking around their prey and cautiously observing for a moment to strike. One worker decides to try it from behind and gives the worm a taste. Lots and lots of circles later, the worker finally approaches the worm. At first, it looks like she's just gently biting. Until suddenly, she's starting to bite harder. She is even lifting 2 of her legs off to apply extra force. I'm unable to see her mandibles, so I assume she found some softer tissue where she can bite. The worker starts curling to the sides and attempts to sting the worm. If you look closely, you can see the pulsating movement. She's trying to sting really hard, but finding a weak spot while holding the worm with your mandibles isn't that easy. But watch really close what happens in the next clip. Did you see it? Let's watch it again. And again. And again in slow motion. Does any one of you know what happened in the clip? I've been asking around and several theories were born. That she got launched by the force of their mandibles, that there was built-up tension because the insects were holding each other. Another theory was that the worm kicked the ant away. Let me know what you guys think. I'm pretty curious what happened. The worker has been struggling for quite some time now, and she's finally getting some help. One ant is holding the worm, while the other one is trying to sting. Finally some teamwork. It doesn't take very long right after that for the worm to slow down and slowly die, while the worker is feasting on her flesh. Like I mentioned before, it's pretty gruesome to watch, but the ants are very picky with their diet. I've added some extra footage of the fight at the end of the video for the ones that do enjoy. If you're planning to keep a colony for yourself, please be aware that these ants are really good in climbing. As soon as I turn on the lights in the ant room, the workers will start climbing the walls and testing out the escape barrier. They will walk around the borders right next to it and search for weaknesses, like in the corners where they can climb the silicone. Luckily for me, the ants won't reach to the top. If you check the top of my setup, you can see I'm using two different escape barriers. I'm using PDFE on the bottom and I'm using talcum at the top. And besides the fact that it's extra safe, I'm able to see when the ants cross the PDFE border. It is showing by the talcum on the floor, which crumbles down as soon as the ants stand on it. Besides the fact that Tetraponera are excellent climbers, these ladies also have amazing eyesight. Like mentioned, the ants go to an alert state of mind as soon as I'm working in the outworld. Workers climbing the scenery are just waiting for their opportunity to sting. I've been stung by them before and it's far from pleasant. They're also really good at escaping. I kept a colony of my friend for several months and they escaped multiple times. They will find a crack or use their mandibles to get through your setup as soon as you give them something where they can get a grip. I filmed that massive colony, and if you would like to see the footage, you can click the link above. These ants are amazing, but when they reach a certain size, they become quite challenging to keep. And with 3 kids running around in the house, I don't think it's a responsible decision to keep them. So, as soon as the colony becomes too much of a challenge, I will find them a new home. The ants are active and agile, and I love the way they walk. But trying to film them on their journey felt like running for the bus and missing it. They are too quick for me, my tripod and my focus, but I'm hoping it's enough to show you their beautiful movements. Their outworld is around 26 degrees and the hottest point in the entire setup is around 28 degrees. It seems that the ants do enjoy the heating a lot. Half of the colony is in the test tube above ground and the other half is in their nest below. I'm not sure if they have some brood below, but they spend quite some time out there. I will quickly demonstrate the construction of their setup for the watchers that are curious how the inside looks like. And if you would like to skip that part, you can click the timestamps below. The idea is simple. I have a small aquarium and I drilled a hole to place a bolt connector for easy tube access. I'm using 4 pieces of cork at the bottom and will carve out these chambers so they can chew through the other 3 if they would like that. I used my Dremel tool and a thin bit to carve out the first bits of the nest. Once I reached the depth I was aiming for, I used a bigger bit to flatten everything out. I attached a piece of acrylic to the top with non-toxic glue. If you would like to know how to cut your acrylic, you can click the link above. The entrance to the nest will be made out of tubing. I made an entry hole using my Dremel again. Now good luck getting those tiny bits out. I used some hot glue to make sure the tubing is stuck. And yes, I got those tiny bits out. To make the entry holes a little bit more realistic, I decided to use some terracotta clay. I made sure I made it a little bit extra wet. Just so that the sand would stick and get stuck while the clay hardens out. This is how it looks like before throwing in the sand. And you will see that the entry hole will blend in really nice with the sand. All we have to do now was spread out the sand and make sure the sides are filled up as well. If you would like to decorate the outbuild with scenery, you could make it a base out of clay and use hot glue to secure it to the floor. Like the rest of my setups, I made sure I attached an LED strip on the bottom of the lid and went all the way around. All I had to do now was place the battery, turn on the lights, and enjoy the new setup and their amazing view. You got this far watching and you enjoyed my content, it would mean the world to me if you would like, comment and subscribe. I have some exciting news to share. We as a family are in the process of buying a new house. This means a bigger and better end room and more flexibility when it comes to filming and editing. Now for the true enthusiasts, I have some additional footage. And for the rest of you, I hope I earned your subscription and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.